Did Godzilla versus Kong live to the hype, or was the fight a complete dud? This is the review. Start the clock. So, back in 2013, excuse me, back in 2013, we, Legendary and Warner Brothers got together and started, 2014, Legendary and Warner Brothers got together and started the Monsterverse, which was going to comprise of different movies, primarily starring two hailed characters in monster movie history. The king of the monsters, Godzilla, and the king of the jungle, King Kong. These movies started off with Godzilla in 2014, which was met with some praise of how it was done. Then Kong Skull Island, which was a period piece set in the 70s. Then King of the Monsters in 2018, I believe. I'm sorry, 2019. And now with this film, Godzilla vs. Kong 2021. Now, in this review will be spoiler filled. If you have not seen the movie, please go watch that first, then come back and we'll talk about it. So in this movie, this is gonna be a long review. The movie is pretty self-explanatory. I do have one part I'm gonna say toward the end and in my final grade I want to talk about with this movie, and we'll go into that. But we're gonna break this down as we do with all reviews. We're gonna talk about the story, the acting, the cinematography, and then get my final grade. So let's start off with the story. The story, for the most part, is a pretty, like, y'all know what this is. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not stand on ceremony here. The story is in the title. Godzilla versus Kong. The baddest of the bad fight for who's gonna win it all. Who is the baddest thing? Who is the baddest monster on the planet? And this story definitely, in the intro of this story, when they're showing the opening credits of this movie, they pretty much align the setup for this movie. If you have not watched Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, go watch those first, then watch this movie. This movie isn't very long. It's about an hour and 30 minutes tops, but the movie surmises this much. Since the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters, after Godzilla beat King Ghidorah, it's been 5 years, and in that time, Kong's island has been ravaged with storms, and now Kong is living in a biodome that he wants out of. Very Truman Show-like. In fact, he wakes up every day and chucks a tree at the dome, and the little girl Lucia, who is deaf, is able to do sign language to him, which I don't mind her and Kong having a sign language ability. That's fine. The kaiju are somewhat intelligent. They're smarter than we give them credit for. People just see them as giant looking beasts, and they're more than that. Godzilla starts the movie off, of course, as we see in the trailer. He's attacking this. He attacks a facility, and then was like, "Wow, Godzilla is now the villain of the movie." Turns out he's not, and we kind of get into that. Godzilla essentially, he can sense, like as it was in the original movie, as it was in King of the Monsters. And really the first Godzilla movie too. Godzilla can sense when there are other apex predators around or on the move. Hence why in the opening credits you actually see how he's taken out each of the monsters that we saw at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters that bowed to him. I imagine a lot of them stood out of line, and he had to destroy them. So Godzilla goes to the Apex facility where Brian Tyree Henry's character, his name exactly, where his character, I think I have this prepared, where his character, let's see, Bernie character played by Brian Tyree Henry, who is getting his bag. I'm going to talk about him in acting later. He attacks the facility, and it turns out that the facility has a massive device that Kong essentially attacked. Godzilla. Kong is then brought out of his facility by Apex in collaboration with Nathan Lind. And essentially, that's not the fight. The first of 3 fights happened between Godzilla and Kong. The thing we saw in the trailer where it was a fight between Godzilla and Kong on the boats, they actually go further on through that, and that fight is actually really, really dope. The second and third fight are my favorite. The third fight, the second fight, Kong had the axe, and we have to see how he gets the axe. He actually got it from Hollow Earth. That part, one of my friends was like, "That's stupid as hell. When did Kong come create an axe?" I'm like, "Well, if his ancestors were in are apes, and apes can actually build tools. It's been shown in science and in modern science and modern history for the longest that they can build tools. They're not stupid. I mean, we are descended from apes." His ancestors created the axe, which is a combination of a bone of some creature that his ancestors killed, and a dorsal fin from one of the Godzilla creatures. Now, they've been hinting at this movie, again, since the beginning of the original Godzilla in 2014. You remember back, I hope I can find this video. If I can't, I'm sorry, the future. Going forward, so Godzilla senses that Kong is now, he's in Hollow Earth, and he's at his throne. And Godzilla ain't for it, man. Godzilla's not for it. He blasts a hole straight through the earth into where Kong is, and him and Kong have the second fight. Kong wins the second fight via a axe smash. The third fight, Godzilla pretty much wins by doing a Khabib Nurmagomedov ground game type of style attack. He's able to put him on the ground. He's able to make the fight more where Kong has to back up, and he can't use the buildings to escape. He can't use the height of the buildings to escape. He also blasts Kong with some pretty dope shots of his atomic breath. Kong unfortunately loses the fight, is getting ready to die. That's when King Ghidorah, who's being used to create the Mechagodzilla, comes to life, betrays Apex Industries CEO, kills him, kills the scientist that was working on it, and goes buck wild. And then, of course, that leads to the ultimate team up of Godzilla and Kong versus Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla is killed by Kong, and the two of them essentially end up leaving. The story is not long. As I said before, the story is not a long movie. About an hour and 30 minutes, so it's a good popcorn flick from that standpoint. But that's just the story for the most part. I don't know why they are so loud outside my door. So now we're gonna go into the part that I'm kind of dreading, which is the acting. Going on to the acting, yeah. So in this review that I'm recording, yeah, sorry to get loud, guess what I'm doing right now. So in this review, in the acting in this movie wasn't good, but we didn't come in for the acting. I do think that Brian Tyree Henry is making his money. Shout out to him. He's getting his bag with him doing this, him doing Joker, him doing Paperboy in Atlanta. And he'll be in Eternals later this year. I'm really interested to see what happens with him. Rebecca Hall as a Skarsgård, they were here to mess with me, Millie Bobby Brown. She was here, but I didn't really care about any of the other actors. I see that Shun Oguri, who was the lead Japanese scientist on this, is the son of Ishiro Serizawa. In the previous movie, the older scientist that died in King of the Monsters, but also was the one in Godzilla that said, "Let them fight." He is in it, but he really wasn't that important in the film. They really didn't go into his backstory as well. But to me, I don't go to Godzilla movies or Kong movies to see the human side of it. I come for the monsters. Now, sure, they use the human characters to do exposition of what's going on in the story, so that way when you're watching the monster fight, you know why we got to this point. And in that situation, I can't fault them too much for it. I didn't expect a bunch of stuff from them, but it is what it was. That was the only down part I have this movie, because next we're gonna go into the cinematography of this movie, and hopefully I'm gonna explain to you all why this was better. So cinematography wise, CGI wise, this movie is dope. For them to do Mega Godzilla the way they did him, that looked like it would be Mega Godzilla. Like you're not gonna get Godzilla a 1v1 shot of Godzilla in mech form. Kind of where it looks like it's almost a transformer. Where one of my friends said it was Grimlock, which I don't trust his opinion on movies because he's the same person that thinks Snyder Cut's movie was great and think Michael B. Jordan can't act. But CGI wise, this movie was great. I thought this movie was just as good, if not better, than King of the Monsters CGI. The only thing I would have wished for more with this movie is, with how great that CGI was, I kind of wish they would have had more of the other monsters. Like, if this movie's about an hour and 30 minutes long, if you spend 30 minutes just showing me Godzilla taking out the other monsters prior to this movie, I would have been sold. Because again, it's a 5-year jump, which they kind of use that as a way to explain how Mechagodzilla exists. But the CGI was good. The fight scenes were actually very well done. The way they use, one of my biggest concerns with them with having Godzilla versus Kong, how are you going to make the fights compelling? Because I'm sure we got hints of the one where Godzilla and Kong fight on the air carrier in the ocean. That was cool. But how are we going to use the city? And the way they use the city as a landscape for both Kong and Godzilla to basically attack each other or get attacked was really, really dope. Kong using the buildings to basically jump from building to building, him using the buildings as shields, him using tricks on Godzilla to basically trick Godzilla. There's one point after he smashed the axe into Godzilla, Kong is hanging from a building. He chucks a piece of a construction a tower construction piece or a frame at a building that because Godzilla is like slithering around to try to find out where he is. He's not looking up, so he essentially throws it at the building. Godzilla jumps at it and it looks like he's in attack mode already. And Kong jumped from the sky and bashed him into the building. That was very, very well done. Hell, even the smaller thing of Godzilla kind of smiling when he cracks Kong's shoulder after he pushes him away. So okay, yeah, now I got him. But the cinematography of this movie was great. I thought the way the movie was shot was really, really good. You can tell a lot of it was shot on a green screen studio. But again, this movie was well done shot wise. I cannot speak more about the CGI movie. Was top notch for sure. So now we're gonna go into my final grade and thought I have about this movie. So I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. It's not the best movie. I'm not saying it's the best movie. But if this was a movie where I could go into theaters and see it, this would be a great popcorn flick. This is a film that I would have no issues going to the theaters. I know this whole thing without my glasses being on. This is a movie I would definitely go into theaters and watch. Yeah, I really should have put these on. This is definitely a movie that I would have gone to theaters and watched. King of the Monsters was a great movie, but I loved the movie because it was what I expected. It was monsters attacking monsters. All I need to see. I don't need to see jack else. I thought the movie was great. Again, the human element of it was a bit of a drag. Did carry on a bit too much, but for what I got from the movie, I personally loved it. But I kind of want to go into, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10. But I want to go into something that's really, really cool about this movie that a lot of people didn't know, didn't notice. This movie kind of hints at a Pacific Rim crossover. And what I mean by that is if you look at the way, there are two scenes more so than anything else that kind of hint toward Pacific Rim crossover. And I think they could be going with this next. The first scene is when Bernie, Madison, and what is his name? Josh are in the Apex facility in Hong Kong, and they notice the King Ghidorah head, and they notice how he's hooked up to it. He's in like a trance to be connected to it, to connect to the machine. That kind of ties to a Pacific Rim, and they did that Pacific Rim with one of the doctors hooked himself up to a kaiju to figure out how to use it, figure out what's going on. Plus, at this point, now we're creating giant mechs that can fight against kaiju, like Godzilla or Kong. The second thing is the Hollow Earth scene. They jump into a slipstream of space to jump into a different world. They jump into a different dimension. So they're saying that the Hollow Earth isn't a part of our Earth, but it's a dimension hidden within our Earth that is the size of Earth itself. Like, and the Hollow Earth is the size of Earth, but the Hollow Earth is the size of our Earth, but there are alleyways to there. And sure, you can cut an alleyway in half. That's kind of how what Kong did when he blasted. Well, I'm sorry, what Godzilla did when he blasted his way through the Earth to the Hollow Earth area where Kong's family's shrine was. So that was really, really cool, and it kind of hints toward Pacific Rim, because let's just say hypothetically, the next film, they have something like the first kaiju from Pacific Rim ever attacks, and Kong and Godzilla have to work together to take this thing out. They die, and the humans create the Jaegers to take out the first kaiju from Pacific Rim kind of situation. And this can be used as a reboot for Pacific Rim, because again, Pacific Rim's series, Godzilla and Kong are all under the Warner Bros. Legendary umbrella. You could do it to where the kaiju we see in Pacific Rim are copies of Godzilla because he falls through a breach. That'd be perfect. And then it's Kong and let's say for example, Godzilla's next movie, he dies and he falls through the breach. And that's how the aliens get the DNA to create copies of him. They're using Godzilla's body as a way to create the copies. Because if you go back and you watch Pacific Rim or Pacific Rim Uprising, those creatures look like carbon copies or mutated copies of Godzilla in a lot of ways. They all have vibrant blue energy coursing through their veins. They all attack with claws and all are pretty much marine-like animals. So it could be possible that they could be descendants of Kong or carbon copies of Kong or bad clones of Kong. But that's just my opinion. Hopefully I'm putting together a picture, like a video of what Kong looks like and what some of the kaiju look like in the movie, and from Pacific Rim Black as well, the animated series, which you should check out. But that's my review of Godzilla vs. Kong. Again, I give it a 7 out of 10. I think it was a really great film. But please, what do you guys think about it? Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me think about it. Also subscribe to my homegirls, La and Lou, with a full cup of La and Lou on their channel, which should be in the link below. Subscribe to our main channel, What Kind of Black Nerd Cast Is This? That link should be below. A World of Chaos, my homeboy Chaos. That should be linked below. The Red Bearded Jane, he doesn't have a channel right now, but you still subscribe to What Kind of Black Nerd Cast Is This? And I believe Blackness Gamers, I believe he's still on there. Subscribe to them as well. I will catch you guys next time. Peace. Have a great Easter weekend, and enjoy the film. Enjoy the festivities.